Back at it. Happy
Boom.
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers. Let's go. I'm excited. It was
I know.
very, the block was hot.
Yeah, we're real close to the Dodger Stadium at this location. And I got to
studio
say,
is.
my dad called me. He bought series tickets. I'm going to the World Series. Next Saturday.
You got to be kidding me.
I can't believe it.
Dude, I can't believe it. Couple
I
great
can't
things.
believe it.
You're not even into sports.
I'm not into sports really, but I grew up playing baseball, so I do know a lot about baseball. It's a big family history thing because of my grandfather.
Okay.
But we were Cubs guys because he played for the Cubs.
Okay.
So I was like, when I move here, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get into the Dodgers
Dude,
specifically.
I cannot believe you're going to the Dodgers.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's going to be a big game. That's game 2?
Yes, that'll be game 2, Saturday night.
Wow.
In LA.
Dude.
I'm pumped.
I'm excited for you.
I know.
Pre-game here.
I know. And I got to go see the Yankees at, I've always wanted to go see Yankee Stadium. I have a special place in my heart for just vintage baseball, and I
Sure.
want to see it. And it's one of the sports I know a lot about, other than golf. I had scholarships to golf, and I hate it.
Wow.
So I am really good at golf, but I don't love it.
That's like good for business too.
That's
Apparently, like golfing. I have a friend who came from Vietnam, spoke no English, got a job at a golf course,
Yeah.
and then just learned networking, learned golf, and then now
Yeah.
he's whatever.
Yeah. So I played golf, and I was really good. And then when I got in my 30s, I was like, this is expensive and also not fun. Because like comedy, it's, I want to be great at it. I
Sure.
don't go for the beer and to hang with
Sure.
people. So it's not fun to
It's-
now go.
So it's like super competitive.
It's super competitive, like with myself, because it's just you versus the golf course.
Sure.
Technically. But now when people are like, let's go hang, I'm like, nah.
Wow. Do you
Don't
ever
wanna
like
do
top
it.
golf and like?
I have top golfed, yeah.
Yeah. I want to
But
go to the top golf because it feels
great.
like that's kind of for me.
It's
I'm not a
super
golfer,
fun.
but
It's fun. I took the kids out one time. You drink beers and you do it, and I can get into that. It's
Yeah.
not screwing. It's like a video game.
yeah.
But yeah,
If it gets real, you're like, nah, bro.
yeah, that I
Can't.
don't do it.
The animal comes
Yeah,
out.
yeah. But I used to
That's
carry a shitty bag on purpose in order to go to like the local driving range or the local course in Indiana and play people for money.
That's really
Like
cool.
I wanted to be like that cool guy.
like that Tom Cruise movie, but with
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is
You're
Tom
like the
Cruise in
color
a
of
golf
money.
movie? Yes.
You're like the color
Right.
of
There's been some
golf.
golf ones like the color of golf, which is white. If you're not familiar, until the mid '90s, then it became slightly darker. Yes, I met Tiger Woods. I got to meet Tiger.
Wow.
and
Legend.
I tried to get him to. He was coming up behind us on a hole. And was playing through with like 2 bodyguards practicing for a
Sure.
PGA tournament that I was caddying for.
Okay.
And I had no business playing in the tournament, but I was caddying for it. And that's what they do with golfers that aren't as good. All the caddies, by the way, that caddy for the PGA are the second best golfers you don't know.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so that's kind of bizarre.
That's pretty
like
wild.
they're the most amazing, and they have the best fun, and they have all the best stories. And Tiger was playing through us, and he hit up on a green, and we were both chipping near one another. Only it was my probably 3rd or 4th shot, and it was his like
Sure.
2nd. And I was like, $100, you and me, closest to the pin. And I was like, I'm gonna lie and say that I did it anyways,
Right.
but can we do it?
Right,
and he
right,
was
right,
like,
right.
sort of in a hurry. I was like, whatever. All right. Yeah,
John
lame.
Daly would have done it.
Daly would have done it. Yeah.
Daly would have done it. How about
Yeah.
a beer and $100?
Yes. I did hear a great story about John Daly, and that's all the golf stories I'll tell.
Yeah.
His caddy was around us when we were caddying too in the locker room or something, and I asked him, he had just won the British Open. And his
Nice.
caddy said, you remember him drinking a water bottle during? And I was like, yes. He's like, straight vodka. Wow. He was drunk the entire tournament, and he won the British Open.
That's wild, man.
I
He's
have
that
to
kind of
say.
guy, though.
Yeah.
Some people, they're better on the sauce.
Yeah. Well, he's an Indiana connection. I don't know if you know about him, but when a player drops out of the U.S. Open or something, they have an alternate.
Okay.
Okay, so the guy drops out of the U.S. Open, then PGA Championship. That next guy dropped out too. Next guy dropped out too. 4th alternate is John Daly in Mississippi.
Wow.
They call him. He's a PGA pro at a local municipal golf course.
Okay.
And you have to get your card still. You have to be very good. Right. They called him and said, "Can you be here? It's 4 alternates." And he drove from Mississippi all night long to Indiana to Crooked Stick in Carmel, Indiana, and won the PGA Championship. And that's how he did.
That's wild.
That's how he won.
Yeah.
And he's been drunk ever since.
You gotta believe that, like, stories like that always, like, what's meant for you can't be missed. Yeah. You know what I mean? There are people who, like, they can't stand that or the traffic or stuff like that, and they gotta, noise. People are sensitive to noise.
Yes.
I have a buddy who just tried. He got a brand new place, awesome yard. He lives with these 2 guys and a dog, and the dog's bark is affecting one of the roommates so much that they can't sleep.
Okay.
And so they have to move out and break the lease.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just, and he's like, this guy's such a fucking pussy. I was like, that's so good. It's like one of these 26-year-old fucking pussies. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, your old man is just peaking right now.
Right.
And also, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he's just like, the dog's not aggressive, but if like somebody goes, whoop. And he's just like, I had to, like, call out sick. I can't deal. Like,
I can't deal.
The dramatics. And he's just like, how about you just man up?
Wow.
So, but I guess he had a really nice, like, $1,000 couch, and he's letting my friend take the couch.
Okay.
As part of the.
So it worked out.
I'm too much of a weakling to deal with the dog barking.
One of my kids that's still at home, my 8-year-old, sleeps with a train noise. Yeah. And it drives me nuts. I can't. I gotta shut his door. It's like chicka 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 chicka. I'm like, what are we doing?
I used to sleep with rain, and I slept with went forever, and I had roommates, and my roommate's dad was staying, and he thought a pipe burst. So he came into my room and was like, hey, he's like, a pipe burst. There's running water. I'm like, I'm trying. That's the waterfalls in Indonesia.
Yeah, it's funny that's a thing where you're like, yeah, I connect with that, and that helps me sleep, even though you're not from there.
Yeah. There's something about just like the natural sound. It's just like sometimes I'll do like 963 hertz. You're supposed to get rich if you hear it, but it's like loud enough.
Is that true?
Just about, like, there's all these, like, if you go on YouTube and you type in like hertz, like 444 hertz. If you listen to it, means you fall in love. 999 hertz. There's all these different, like, this hertz is to pure your soul. This hertz is to get you money. This hertz is for love. And so I just listen to the one that's, like, not annoying in the right volume.
Okay.
So some days I'm like, ooh, 563 is feeling nice.
You have a hertz thing?
No, it's
an app?
YouTube. It's a YouTube banana.
I wonder what hertz my wife is.
Hey!
Because it's changed since we first met.
That's such a Johnny Carson joke. It's like
I know.
I want to say Milton Berle because I just saw Saturday Night.
My wife, please.
I wonder what hurts my wife.
Yeah. Because it used to be a very comfortable one when we were dating, and then it changed.
Then we got to like 489.
It's very sharp. It peaks. Goes into a red.
There's somebody, the guy who does a podcast with Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Has a flute that plays at a specific type of hertz, and he's really into that hertz.
Oh.
And then he went on Tom Segura's podcast, and Tom Segura got him this very special flute that plays a particular type of hertz.
Fantastic.
Like, I think this is like 444.
I heard that, actually, now that you mentioned that.
So that's a thing.
Are you a spiritual person? You strike me as a spiritual person.
I'm a spiritual person.
Are you?
100%.
Well, tell me, what's that about? How did that... In what regards? Do you know? Do you believe it? Are you religious?
I am religious.
Okay.
I don't know about all the stuff.
Okay. Or unorganized religion?
Yeah, I know about all the stuff. What do they say? I'm not religious, I'm spiritual.
Okay. Yeah, that's why
I live in LA. No, but there is a absolute spirituality. Just because I just have seen enough things work that I go,
no way, that's random.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so, like, you got to kind of believe in that. And I also think it's just comforting. I heard this great story about if you don't believe in God, the story is this plane crashes and only 2 guys survive. One goes to one island and one goes to another island.
Okay.
On the one island, they eat the man alive because that's what their tribe does.
Okay.
The other guy survives because on their island, God forbids them to eat men.
Okay.
So did God save that guy's life?
Interesting.
And it's just like, dirty trick. But at the same time, it kind of brings up the point about, like, belief is kind of so what belief is real, how much of a belief is required to become real. And so I kind of look at that stuff. Like, if there's a good side, does there have to be a bad side? It's kind of like that with everything else.
So are you open to, like, the journey, it sounds like, where you're like, you don't have a lot of answers, but you feel like there's definitely something out there?
Yes. And I have prayed.
Yeah.
And I have gotten an answer.
Okay.
And I've used that answer.
Right.
And it has gotten me what I wanted.
Interesting.
So I don't know how that works.
Do you feel like stand-up plays, is there something spiritual about stand-up to you at all?
Sure. Do you think that?
I don't know. I grew up in a cult. I've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's an arc of a life there. I left when I was 19, and I've had kids, and I've now experienced. I saw things as a kid where I'm like, okay, I can put some adult understanding to that. It makes sense. There are things I still can't put a finger on. I've also seen those people be horrible to one another. I've seen people pray for one thing and say, this is definitely a blessing, while the guy on the other side of the coin is like, that's definitely not a blessing for me.
Right.
That you got my house.
Right.
Because I went bankrupt and I was praying also to the same God.
Sure.
And you got my house.
Sure.
So blessings to you. But like
Sure.
I lost my house. So who's, so I've seen that. I definitely think, though, that for me is like, I think if it's something is supernatural, which I have a hard time believing that there isn't something supernatural.
Sure.
But if you could figure him out and you're positive you could have him figured out, then he's not very supernatural.
Right.
He, she, whatever. So I always feel like as soon as I know that somebody's like, I definitely know what it's all about. I'm like, you definitely don't know what it's all about, because that didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
It's a supernatural thing. You can't connect like human. It's not human, whatever that is. So I'm there, like in the... And if things have gotten really dark with my kids, what else are you going to do? You got to reach out to something. You got to hold on to something other than other humans. Humans fail you.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm in the I don't know. So yeah, I'm sort of spiritual. I don't know about stand-up, though. It feels too selfish to me. I would like to be able to say, like, oh, there's some element about it for me that feels spiritual.
Yeah, I think it's just a connection with other people. I find to be very spiritual.
Okay.
I think I think it's important to know what that feels like. I think it's very important to know what it feels like to connect with somebody before or like in the midst of doing stand-up. This is going to go deep in banana.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are guys who like haven't been with enough women or men or have had enough of a relationship with another person, either like as a best friend or as a lover or as something. And they don't know what it is to connect.
Right.
Like making people laugh isn't necessarily connecting.
Right.
But then there's people who you go like, I can tell you're connecting. Where you're not you're telling jokes and you're doing the thing, but I think you also know what it is to connect, to feel vulnerable, and to be able to give that. And I noticed that some comedians have a tendency where it's like, I think that's what the trying to be funny is. It's like trying to be cool or trying to be a thing.
Right.
And so that's where I feel like faith comes in, where you have to kind of say, this really might not work, but I'm going to believe that it's going to work and present it in a way that is of belief.
Yeah.
Discover the world with Delta Airlines. Experience unparalleled comfort, exceptional service, and seamless travel. Fly Delta, where your journey is our passion. Book now and soar to new heights with Delta.
Apostolic Pentecostal till I was
I used to shop there.
18. Yeah, great place. And it used to be that I would try to connect with people by explaining to them by saying, oh, did you ever see snake handling or whatever? And people would be like, I don't know what that is. Now I could say, did you see Borat? Did you watch Borat where he goes into the church and he tries to speak in tongues and he lurches all over the floor? Kind of like that song. And I recognized the emblem when he walked into that church. I knew exactly where he was going. I know what that life is like. And I left there at about 18, and then I was a youth director for a couple of years because I got my girlfriend pregnant at 19. And my youth pastor, who put me on stage for the first time, was like, I want you to come be my youth director. Really, he was just saying, I know you're having a child and you're 19 and you're lost.
Right.
Do you want to come live in the parsonage of the church and talk to young people?
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. And then I would do, I would spend time on stage at church, which a lot of people do.
Sure.
It's an easy, a lot of gray area. You can cross the line easily. There's all kinds of comedy in there.
Right.
It's a reverent place, so it's easy to be irreverent and comedic. So yeah.
I know that's a thing, though. Like, I feel Chris Rock talks about how he does comedy like a preacher.
Yes.
He like repeats things and he emphasizes things. Like, gotta get the thing done. Gotta get the thing done. Like that sort of cadence. That's a preacher thing.
Yeah, I grew up in that.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll say a really unpopular thing that I recognize about Dave Chappelle, and that is that he does this thing that these revivalists did when I was a kid, and I recognized it immediately as fake. And I really have a difficult time. I think he means what he says, and I'm talking about when he changes tone and decides to get real serious about a topic. I recognize it from those old school pastors that I would see, and it feels like it's manipulation to me because it's one of the easiest things you can do as a performer is manipulate in that way. Comedy to me doesn't feel like you can't manipulate really well other than the cadence of a joke. I know you guys are supposed to laugh here, and you do.
I will tell you, I've heard somebody break down comedy like Kung Fu, where they're like, everything is an illusion of control. They had a bit where they go, I don't touch the microphone out of the stand until I get my first laugh.
Okay.
And then they like, watch the difference. And it's like, hey, everybody, how's everything going? And then they go like, now I tell my joke, and then I get a laugh. And I go, so now we're friends. And I was like, oh my God, that worked.
Interesting.
Oh my God, I don't like it, but it worked.
I don't like it.
Like, it's weird because I don't like everything's manipulation, I guess.
Sure. Somewhat.
But there's a variable to it, in my opinion, where I feel like you still have to... I don't know, you have to still feel like you're trying to do something honest.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to make these people laugh, even though I'm pretending this is like the first time I'm coming up with this stuff. But I'm doing it with this intent.
Right.
Where I feel like I'm going to talk real low, so like, and then people lean in, and then you say something loud.
Yeah,
it's like, you saw how I shocked them? It's like, yeah, you also could have pulled the fucking gun out.
Right.
So like, that kind of manipulation, I go like, it's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
So some manipulation I feel is sort of just in the vein of honesty.
Right. Sincerity looks a lot like when a professional manipulates, and so I do find that sometimes it is, to me, sincerity in comedy. If you're trying to connect, for me anyways, I'm sure this is different for everybody, but like, I know that I'm being sincere when I'm trying to connect if I'm not necessarily going for a laugh, and I don't know where it's going to land, but I want to say a thing, and I want to get it out because it's important to me, and it's sincere that I'm trying to get, I'm trying to connect with them on that particular thing. I know that's not the game all the time.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to do that. I know Patrice talked about it's like good jokes and bad jokes come from the same place.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, But I did get to go to Accidental Chaos.
Yeah.
And it was super fun.
Yeah.
I will say that the show that I did was a tarot card reading / comedy show.
How does that look? Tell me how that looks.
Essentially, it's Accidental Chaos is essentially down an alleyway.
Right.
So Google Maps does nothing for you.
No.
As soon as you get there, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I heard music down an alleyway. I walked down that alleyway. There was the club. Pretty great crowd, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty full. Katie is a fortune teller, I guess.
Okay.
And so she goes up, does a couple minutes, then goes, sits down, and says, you have 10 minutes as the comic.
Okay.
You can get 1 card pull, 2 card pull.
Okay.
1 card pull is for you. 2 card pull is how you and how the world sees you.
This is tarot cards.
Tarot cards.
Got it.
And she puts all the tarot cards in a big milieu. And then you just pull 1 or 2.
Okay.
So you could say, I got to do my 8 minutes and only pull 1 card.
Okay.
Or you could go, I'm just going to do like 7 minutes and I'll pull 2 cards, right?
Okay.
I was like, I'm pulling the 2 cards. I want the full whatever.
Did she pull the card before or after your set?
No, I pull the cards. So she has all these things there. I pull 2 cards.
Yeah. Before your set or after?
Before my set.
Before your set.
That's everyone.
Okay.
Before the set, they either pull 1 card or 2 cards.
Okay.
And so then she pulls the 2 cards, and then she gave the whatever.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it was a very good pull. But then afterwards, I was just like, what if I suck? Because you're like, this girl, it was double bad. Like, you suck, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. That's why I was asking, is it before or after?
Yeah, it's
okay,
before.
okay.
Yeah, so she's like, yeah, it was a beautiful reading. And then I go up and I do my bits. And they worked, and it was, people laughed or whatever. But there was this kind of, one of the things that was cool about it was, I think if you're going to a tarot card / comedy show, there's a type.
Okay.
That's a type
when
of
is that going to
person.
happen? Does that happen?
I don't know, but I feel like you can go like, hey, can you come to my comedy show at this club down an alleyway? You might get okay, we're your roommates.
Right.
We're going to show out for you, or, yeah, we'll go for your set, but then we'll leave.
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm going to go and pay and be at a show for tarot card readings, you're kind of into the spiritual, you're kind of into the, I want to know my future, blah, blah, blah. So I think that the people who were there to see it and the comedians who were there to perform were kind of on a wavelength where you'd have to kind of be about that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you're like a super cynic, it's like, I'll pull the card, but just because I have to. Like, nobody's going to do it. Everybody was buying into it, right? And it was great. And she would pull the card. She's like, if you want to touch the crystals, she has crystals. And then after you pull the card, she reads from this like old frayed book. I was like, this is very cool. It's a great bit. And then some audience member, if an audience member wants to get the card read, they can get a card read.
During the show?
During the show. Like, they'll go like, hey, now that we've had a couple comics, would you like to have your whammy read? And
That's like a tarot carder's crowd work.
Yeah, tarot crowd work.
Yeah,
it's like the Matt Rife of tarot.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I broke my chair at so funny. But yeah, no, it had a really cool vibe. But the thing about, I think, like, it was like a perfect storm in the sense, like, it's a Friday night, it's 10 o'clock.
It's October.
It's fucking October, tarot card reading at the underground club in the alleyway. Like, there was an energy there that I was like, oh, this is nice. I get what he was talking about with hot clubs. You know what I mean? Where you get like an energy where like it's not just the room being funny.
Right.
It's this like we're all into a thing. We're on a vibe. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I cringed immediately when you said all that from my childhood, I noticed, because of like all the Satanica. I feel that still. Like I don't I like no, I just won't watch like horror movies now because I've seen shit that as an adult and I'm like, oh, that feels demonic, whatever. I don't really believe that anymore.
Sure.
But I still feel that. That's my first thing is my mother being like, Anyways, I played that room too and went for the first time after I did a tiny room called Vicky's in Venice.
I know Vicky's in Venice.
Right? And Castro Vegas was like, hilarious, go down to the place. And Castro was like, I don't know him real well, but like he is insane on Instagram. And he's like, I'm like, are you ever home? What's going on with this guy?
Dude, Castro
Seems
Vegas.
like a nice guy.
Good guy.
I went to that room and it was called The Gym. I think the show was 75 comics or what. It was a lot. I showed up at like 9. They were like, put your name on the list. I was like, when will I go up? They were like 2 a.m. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, the show. But
it's like a real like. I bought some tamales in the alley, and there was a lot of weed and other drugs and whatever. And I was like, my dad jokes aren't going to work, but I'm just going to play them hard.
Yeah.
And I did, and they were like, love it.
That's so good.
Love this fucking dad guy. And then I went. But yeah, that is a room that feels like... I wondered if I thought it was hot, and then I was just wrong, and I was like, oh, this is just L.A., and I feel too glowing about LA.
No, I think that room has a special energy to it. I dig it. I would go again.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things where to experience a show there, you know, I think you get something out of that. Like if you've been to comedy shows, I think going to a show there has its own little reward of just like you never like that. You don't know what's going to happen is actually true.
Yes, very much.
Things were very, very crazy.
Because that show sounds different than the show I went to, where there were people that got up and it was loud, and they were doing some real quiet sort of moth UCB material.
Sure.
And I was like, I can't hear you. What is going on? Mm-hmm. But the hosts were loud. Also, I have found that it's interesting that a lot of these rooms, like somebody also lives there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, they live here. And also there's some, I went to the bathroom at that particular place. And there was like definitely some like apartments that I was like, these aren't legal. There's nothing legal about these. I don't mean they were homeless people. I just mean like it was like, oh, there ain't nothing legal about this.
Turned this
there was
into an
also a
apartment.
studio in there. Like I wanted to tell the story of that room when I left.
Sure.
That to me will tell you like, oh, is that a hot room? Okay.
Thank you so much for enjoying the Getting Up podcast. Please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.